Darth Sidious, the cunning Sith Lord, stood over the sleeping body of his master Darth Plagueis. The once powerful Sith Lord lay motionless. Sidious raised his lightsaber high, ready to deliver the final blow. But suddenly Plagueis' eyes flashed open. With a burst of dark energy, he lunged at Sidious, grasping his apprentice's wrist and disarming him. Plagueis stood, his eyes blazing with power as he raised his hand and sent Sidious flying across the room. Sidious lay stunned, his mind racing. How could his master still be alive? He had been so certain that he had killed him in his sleep. Plagueis approached him, his presence looming over him like a dark shadow.
You thought you could kill me, my apprentice.
His voice tinged with anger.
I am more powerful than you can ever imagine. I have mastered the power of the dark side, and I am not so easily defeated.
Sidious could feel his master's power radiating through the room, and he realized that he had vastly underestimated his master's abilities. He stood up, his mind working furiously. He would have to find a way to defeat Plagueis, but he knew that it would not be easy. The two Sith Lords engaged in a fierce battle, their lightsabers clashing as they fought for control of the galaxy. In the end, Sidious emerged victorious, but only just. He had been pushed to the brink of his abilities. In a desperate maneuver, Sidious was able to wound Plagueis and gain the upper hand. In a rage of Force lightning, Plagueis stunned Sidious and created a window to escape from his former apprentice. Collecting himself, Sidious knew that he would never underestimate Plagueis again. From that day on, Sidious ruled the galaxy as Chancellor of the Republic, working to accomplish the goals he and Plagueis had set into motion, the revenge of the Sith. He never relaxed, though. He knew that Plagueis was still out there, waiting for his chance to reclaim his power and strike back. But for now, Sidious was determined to keep his grip on the galaxy and maintain his rule. As the threat of Plagueis loomed ever closer, Sidious grew increasingly anxious. He could sense that his grip on the galaxy was slipping away, and he knew that he had to take action. He called upon all his strength and reached out with the Force, searching for any sign of his former master. Finally, he felt a disturbance in the Force, and he knew that Plagueis was close. He summoned all of his power and prepared for a final fight. The two Sith Lords clashed in a fierce battle once again, their lightsabers flashing as they fought for control not just over the galaxy, but over the title of Sith Master. But this time, it was Plagueis who emerged victorious. Sidious lay defeated, and Plagueis stood over him, his eyes blazing with a dark energy.
You thought you could defeat me, my former apprentice. You were always too weak, too afraid to harness the full power of the dark side. But now, the galaxy will be mine.
And with that, Darth Plagueis claimed his spot as the new ruler of the galaxy. In order to keep the galaxy from falling apart, Plagueis had arranged for Palpatine's death to look like an accident. During the time he had been in hiding, he had been secretly making allies within the Galactic Republic. This would allow him to be able to insert a ruler that he could control from behind the scenes, his power unchallenged. Plagueis would rule in the shadows as he continued his work on achieving immortality. With Darth Sidious gone, there was no one to oppose his work. He had lost sight of the plan he and Sidious had created. Instead of sparking a galaxy-wide conflict, Plagueis lost himself in his work. He left the public rule to weak-minded humans that he could manipulate into doing his will with minimal effort. All that mattered to him was achieving immortal life. What good was all of the power to rule if one day it would come to an end because of his mortality? With no war to disrupt the flow of the galaxy, the Jedi would become more apathetic than ever as they followed the whims of an ever-declining Republic. The Order failed to recognize the grip the dark side had over the Republic, but in part because Plagueis hadn't done anything to make the dark side known. His plans for revenge against the Jedi would have to wait until he achieved eternal life. Years passed and Plagueis had come close to achieving his goal, but he still felt short. He needed to be able to devote all of his time to his research. Plagueis decided it was time to find a replacement apprentice, an apprentice who would do his bidding while he poured himself into his work. He had tried to do this with Sidious, but his former apprentice was too impatient, too ambitious. Plagueis set his sights on the Jedi's chosen one, Anakin Skywalker. The boy had arrived on Coruscant shortly before Sidious had attempted to murder him in his sleep. The Jedi Qui-Gon Jinn had brought him from Tatooine after facing Sidious's secret pet, Maul. Jinn had been killed by Maul not long after on Naboo. Plagueis had been aware of Skywalker's power as he felt him through the Force. The young Jedi could be a powerful ally, but Plagueis needed to first discover his weaknesses. How could he turn him to the dark side of the Force? So that's part one. The next part will essentially serve as a what if Darth Plagueis trained Anakin video. So I think that if Sidious had failed to kill Plagueis, I believe that Plagueis would become so obsessed with achieving immortality that he would have all but abandoned the Sith plan. This is largely why Sidious became so fed up with him in the original timeline. In his older age, Plagueis spent his time locked away with his experiments, trying to figure out how he could manipulate midichlorians into creating life. He became blind and apathetic towards the ambitions of the Sith. So without the focus and the drive of Sidious, it's possible the Revenge of the Sith would not have taken place when it did. Anyways, let me know what you thought of this video by leaving a like. Subscribe to make sure you stay up to date. I'll be releasing another part. Like I said, it'll be what if Darth Plagueis trained Anakin Skywalker. So let me know in the comments below, how do you think part 2 should go? Have a great rest of your day, and may the Force be with you.